You're listening to the Fed and Fearless podcast. On today's episode, I'm chatting with Nicole Culver about how to balance being a mom and a CEO so that you're fully happy with all areas of your life. So stay tuned. Welcome to the Fed and Fearless podcast. I'm your host, Laura Schoenfeld, a registered dietitian, nutrition business coach, and online entrepreneur with over 10 years of experience in online business. And I'm here to show you everything I've learned about creating a life and a business that nourishes you. On this podcast, we'll talk about the lifestyle habits, practical strategies, mindset shifts, and leaps of faith required to build a healthy body, a powerful mind, a strong spirit, and a successful business. Hello, and welcome back to the Fed and Fearless podcast. I'm your host, Laura Schoenfeld, and today we have an extra special guest who is a friend of mine from the mastermind that I'm in with James Wedmore, and someone who's been a huge inspiration to me as I have become a mother. At the time of this recording, I am still pregnant, winding down the last couple of weeks before giving birth. And by the time this episode is released, I think should be a mom at this point based on the timing, hopefully. So it's kind of a funny topic to be covering because I'm in between that, like just about to become a mom and will be a mom very soon. So my guest today is Nicole Culver. She is an amazing 7-figure CEO that also has 3 beautiful kids and has been so inspiring to me to get to know over the last year and a half. Just getting to see how she runs her business and the mindset that she takes towards running her business as someone who is a mom. And it's especially inspiring to me because there aren't a lot of really successful entrepreneurs out there that necessarily are women with kids, right? Like there's a lot of women that don't have kids or men that have kids. And I wish it wasn't true, but in a lot of cases, the burden of parenthood a lot of times falls on the mother. I mean, even if we're just thinking about the physical burden of creating the child, as I'm going through right now, that's something that I'm the only one that can do. My husband can't participate in the pregnancy the way that I am participating in it. So there are some things that make it a little harder for a woman who is a mom to be a successful CEO. Doesn't mean that it's impossible. And, Nicole's a great example of someone who's doing it really well, but it's also something that it can get a little, it can just get hard when you think, is having a baby going to ruin my business? Or I have kids, how am I ever going to be successful? And you don't always have a wide variety of role models to look up to. So I hope that if you are a mom or if you're thinking of becoming a mom, that Nicole will inspire you the way that she's inspired me. And I would just love to give a little intro to Nicole before we jump into the conversation. So Nicole Culver helps expert coaches create evergreen weekly sales without fancy funnels, expensive ads, or large audiences. She has worked in the online space for over 10 years and has figured out exactly what it takes to really build a business with full-time income in part-time hours. Nicole believes in building a business that excites and energizes you and gives you the spark you've been missing. Nicole's a marketing expert, trauma coach, certified Master NLP trainer, hypnotist, life coach, EFT practitioner, and breathwork facilitator with a master's in education. So she has a ton of learning in so many different areas that help her be an even more successful coach than someone who's just trained in marketing. And she does it all with 3 children. So like I said, Nicole's super inspiring to me. I was very excited to have her on the show with us today. I know you're going to be learning a lot and walking away inspired. So without further ado, here is Nicole Culver. All right, everyone. Well, I am so excited and honored to have with us on the show today, Nicole Culver. Welcome to the Fed and Fearless podcast, Nicole.
I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. And if you guys are in any of my programs, either the Nutrition Business Accelerator or our Next Level coaching program, you've seen a lot of Nicole and you know how amazing she is. So you know how this episode is going to blow your minds. And today we're talking about something that is definitely selfishly something I want to talk to Nicole about because not at the time of this recording, but at the time of the publication, I should be a mom at that point. And so, just being able to watch Nicole's content and her journey over the last couple of years, being in the mastermind together, like just being able to see the stuff she's putting out there specifically for moms has been incredibly encouraging for me as someone who is heading in that direction very soon. So I know that any of you out there who are moms are going to learn a ton from Nicole today. And I know you're going to want to keep following her in the future for even more insight and, just learning how to do this all together, because that's the biggest, I'll say, like, going into the mastermind, it was one of the biggest things that was causing me a lot of stress that first year, was like worrying about how am I going to do this all. So Nicole's been extremely supportive for me and helpful in getting me ready mentally to do it all. So Nicole, if you just want to share your story really quick, because I think were you officially a mom before you started your business? I think no?
No.
Oh, okay. So I was mixing up the timeline because I know you were a teacher before. So just share with us like the nutshell version of how did you go from being was it elementary school or special ed?
Yeah,
elementary
both.
school?
Yeah.
Both. How'd you go from being a teacher to, I know there was another business in between, and then now you do coaching for other entrepreneurs as a mom?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So, okay. It's actually at the time that this is published, it will be over 11 years since I quit my teaching job. I quit my teaching job in 2011 after the school year. I had kind of planned my escape the whole last year of teaching. I didn't have any kids then. It was just me and Dan. And I was done teaching. And for any of you, if you do have a corporate, because I know you'll have some people, registered dietitians, who maybe are working in some type of, corporate or other setting where they're working possibly a 9 to 5. I was done with the 9 to 5. So I quit my teaching job in June 2011. So 11 years ago. And I actually started in the health and wellness field. I started actually a food business, and I was a health coach as well. I had gone to school into Institute of Integrative Nutrition my last few years of being a teacher, knowing I was like gonna make the escape. So I started Blissful Eats, which was my food company. And I gave myself that summer to be like, can I actually make money? I knew nothing. I had no idea. It's like, you don't know what you don't know, right? About running a business. So I gave myself those 2 months and I said, okay, if by August I have made money, I will quit. I will officially put in my resignation. So I kind of really bootstrapped it, went out to every local business that I possibly could, petrified of selling, hated selling myself. I literally would like bring my sister and my husband with me to be like, please, I just need mental support. Will you talk to them? Because it was so scary. And I did it. I was able to make some money and we just kind of took off and we started a food business. We ended up being a national brand. We were in Whole Foods and TJ Maxx and Amazon.com, Thrive Market. We were in a whole slew of stores, plus some local and regional stores as well. And then fast forward to January 2012, which wasn't even a year later, I surprisingly got pregnant with my first daughter. And it was one of those situations where I was working a lot and it was very physical because we were in a commercial kitchen and I was doing all of the baking and we had a lot of orders and there was no air conditioning. And I was kind of like, I need to figure this out. So that was my first kind of soiree into delegating before I had my first child in October 2012. So we're talking 11 years here. I've spanned the decade. Basically, we went into online marketing with our food business. We delegated. We learned a lot about marketing and sales with a website. We were running Facebook-like ads. We have been running Facebook ads for over 11 years. And basically went into, okay, let's do this with the food business. Let's bring on our website. Let's run traffic, get customers, build email lists. We bootstrapped it and started taking courses and everything. A few years in, we started getting inquiries from other people. How are you doing this? How did you build your online business? How do you sell from a website? How do you build an email list? So we started doing coaching and consulting on the side in 2015, 2016. So that was about 4 to 5 years in. And we had our second in 2015. And it's kind of like every kid I had, I realized, oh my gosh, I have less time to work. And I had to get really particular about what I was doing in my business. And I was running 2 businesses at that point. So had second child, realized, oh my gosh, food business, profit margins, very teeny. Consulting, profit margins, very good. So had second baby, held on to that food business because it was my first baby, my original baby. And it was a really emotional decision for me. So again, 11 years trying to fit into like 5 minutes here. Had third baby in 2018. And it was like one of those moments where you have to make those hard decisions. Am I going to keep going with the food business, which is basically running us into the ground? Our coaching and consulting is funding the food business. We were not in a great place financially because of that food business. And it was like, do you take maternity time with your baby or do you not and keep 2 businesses? So we shut the business down. If you scroll way back on my Facebook profile, you'll see I wrote a post called like the time I said, F it to Whole Foods. I was debating whether I could say that. The time I quit Whole Foods, basically. And we went all in on coaching and consulting and helping other online business owners grow and scale their business online. So it's been Isabel's 4. She just turned 4 in March. So we basically went all in on that business. So 11 years, 2 businesses, 3 kids, not a lot of time. And that's how we got here.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. There's so many things to ask you about with all that. And I haven't had obviously the same journey, but I definitely understand the decision to shut down a business, right? And for me, it was shutting down the health arm of my business because it was like, it wasn't doing bad. It was doing great, right? Like it actually did have a really good profit margin. But for me, it was splitting the time and attention to both businesses was holding back the growth opportunity. And so I'm guessing even if your granola business had been doing great, you might have been like, I need to pick one anyway, because, neither can fully thrive if I'm splitting my attention to both of them.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So absolutely. I was always going back and forth between the 2 businesses, and neither one got the time and attention that it fully deserves. I had and this is why I know you so strongly believe in like friends, having mentors and then friends in the business, but someone who I had met through the food industry, she was so kind to do a phone call with me. And I was walking with Mila, which is my middle child. And it was one of those moments that changed the trajectory of my life and my business because I was pregnant with Isabel, walking with Mila, Olivia in school. And she just said, like, I have to be really honest with you of what it takes to get to where you want to go in this specific industry. Mm-hmm. She said, I travel 48 weeks of the year. And at the time, this person, she didn't have kids. She has kids now. She said, I'm never home. I'm traveling the country. And it was that moment that I knew I wasn't ready to admit it yet, that it needed to go. But it was in that moment that I knew this industry was not for me anymore. And I was unwilling to sacrifice my family. And it's not right or wrong, right? Like I could have done that, but it wasn't for me. So yes, it was the time and the energy of neither one of the businesses was getting the time and the energy or my best self because I was continually switching, not to mention I was a mom of 2 little kids. And it was just like considering, is this for you right now? Because everything had changed.
Mm-hmm. I feel like that's a really great opportunity to really look to the future and be like, if best case scenario, if this business does really well, do you actually want what comes with it? Right? Because it's like, you could be working your face off. Like, I'm just going to work until it's successful and I'm going to keep going. And you don't even necessarily know like, okay, well, what does an actual successful business look like in the field that I'm pursuing? And do I even want that? Right? Because it's, I think it's really easy to get kind of nose to the grindstone, just like plugging away at something because you had spent time pursuing it. And, when I decided to shut the health business side of things down, it wasn't because I was like oh, this isn't for me anymore. It was more, I saw the collection of skills and passions that I had more fully reflected in the business coaching for health professionals. And I knew I could take what I had learned in that health business and really apply it to helping other health professionals. So it was like, I could do this and I enjoy it. And I still love health stuff and, communicating with other health professionals and helping people with health. But it's like, there was just that missing piece of, yeah, but I also really love all of this like marketing and strategy and all of that and business growth. And that's the stuff I get really excited about. And so it was like, do I want to keep doing this business that I'm kind of a little tired of talking about this stuff? I've been talking about it for a decade, kind of over it now. Or do I want to, take the risk, shut down the thing that's been working for, at that point, it was like 6-7 years, and pursue the thing that I can see the potential future of as being like, oh, this really lights me up and this gets me excited. So I think sometimes it's like people think, oh, you just shut down a business because you don't like it anymore, or, you're not being successful. And I think for especially people like us who are like, I'm willing to do whatever it takes to make it successful, but maybe the successful business for that industry or for that offer or whatever is not actually the thing that's going to make me happy with the lifestyle that I have. So I think that was a really important lesson that you learned, I'm sure, and that I learned, that it's like success in and of itself is it's not necessarily the thing you want to be pursuing if it's at the expense of other core values in your life, which I think is probably very applicable to the moms out there that have those big competing interests between being an entrepreneur, growing a business, kind of having their own life, quote unquote, and then being a mom and having your life be family focused. So do you want to talk a little bit about that? Because, I'm not a mom yet, so maybe I'll find out in a few months what this feels like. But what does it feel like to have kind of that like, and I don't necessarily want to call it a split attention, because I think you do a really good job of connecting the two, but having the business having its own needs, own, things you need to focus on, energy that goes into that. And then also having your family, who I know you adore, having their own needs. And there's probably some conflict there, even if you're able to incorporate the two into each other.
Yeah. I mean, and you know me like on a personal level, obviously. And I feel like, yes, it can be simple, but that doesn't mean it's easy. So I think, and I know I've had this conversation with you before, but for those who have younger kids, even, I think it's just really important that you understand that your business's needs and your needs and your family's needs, it's evolving and it's changing. And if you want to grow your business, you also have to understand, like, just like there's seasons of the year, there's seasons of life and there's seasons of your business. So if you can go into it knowing like I'm having a baby and I'm growing a human, and that's a really big deal. So can we release like the business stress? Can we say like, if for 3 months or 6 months, I don't hit a revenue goal and I don't like do the hustle, like, can you make peace with that? And can you make it okay? And I think it's really easy to get caught up in the online digital world and the online world that both of us run in. And I get caught up in it too, but can we just take a step back for a second and say like, okay, you're moms, we have a new role here. That's like a major role. It's a really important time of our life. Can we detach a little bit from the hustle and the money and all the glorifying of like all the work that we do, and just know like this season of life may look different, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, that's very, very applicable to the situation I've been in the last 6-ish months, because I had all these ideas about offers I wanted to run this year and programs and, people I wanted to work with. And when I got pregnant, I've mentioned this on the podcast before, I felt so terrible physically, like, the worst energy I've ever had in my life. Couldn't get off the couch some days, like just was like, there's nothing I can do about this. I can't just will myself to be able to be functional right now. And so I had to make some really tough decisions about getting rid of certain offers, there was clients that I was working with that I love working with. And it was like, they just wanted to do one-on-one. And I was like, I can't do that this year. Like I have to take a break from it at the bare minimum. And so literally had like tearful phone calls at the end of their sessions where they're like, I don't want to not work with you. And it's like, sorry. And so it's like, not only that loss of, I mean, I'm sure we're still connected. It's not like I'm like, I'll never talk to you again now that we're not working together. But it's like, something that was really an enjoyable part of my business and a big revenue generator for the business. And I had to make that decision to be like, there's no way I can do both of these things right now. And just with the year we've had in 2022, it was like the best decision ever to get rid of some of those offers for at least the temporary time that we've done it, because I think I would have like totally just lost it trying to run all the different programs, serve all the different people, grow this baby, like deal with, trying to like relax and take care of my body and stuff. So, it's been a really interesting lesson for me to kind of like detach a little bit from that. Like we need to grow every year, or we even need to just replicate what we did last year. Because if we don't do that, it's like, who cares? It's really not that big of a deal. As long as I'm not like hemorrhaging money out of my business, it's okay if we do less than we did last year. And so I know you and I talked a lot about that. And that was really helpful for me because it's like, especially being in the circles we're in, the mastermind we're in, it's very easy to see other people like crushing all these goals and being like, I want to do that too, but maybe now is not the right time. So, is that something you see in a lot of your mom clients where they have to kind of like adjust their expectations about things like growth and, goals that they want to set for themselves?
Yes. Just this morning, actually, because we do a call every Thursday at 11:30. And one of my like, she's amazing. She came into my program. She's crushing it. And she has a baby. And she literally was like, I have never been so driven. I've never been so excited about my business. I have so much energy and I don't have enough time to work. She asked, like, how do you handle this when you feel like you're ready to move so quickly, yet you can't? And it's like that one foot on the gas, one foot on the brake. And so it turned into this amazing, amazing conversation around like motherhood and being in a business. And I get it. Like, I get it. And I said to her, like, I've been a mom now for 9.5 years. And we have a really great business. We make a lot of money. And there's a lot of my friends who make a lot more money than me. And being completely frank, do you know how many kids they have? They have none. So can I be okay with where I am right now and know, like, first of all, like, what if I had made, millions and millions of dollars at this point per year? For what? Like, for what? Why? Like, so I would have sacrificed my family. Like, can I be okay with where I am right now and what I've done and be so freaking proud and grateful for what I've been able to build working 10 to 15 hours a week? Mm-hmm. Because you just don't, and I'll like get on my hill about this. It's like, you don't see the behind the scenes. So I'm dropping off kids. I'm picking up kids. I'm keeping my workday within the hours of 9 to 3 pretty much every single day. I'm not hustling. I can't. So it comes down to one, like, can I be okay with where I am? And two, I've had to prioritize and simplify. And this is something we talk about all the time. Like, why do we need to do so much? Like, why do we need to have all of these offers? Why do we need to offer all of these programs? Why do we need to say yes to so many people? Every kid I had, which I have 3, so it's not like it's that many, but it just made me realize you must do less. You must do less. And if you make a little bit less, like, so what?
Mm-hmm. Well, and it's funny because even with that mindset for me being like, okay, this year might be a little bit lower revenue. It might be, we have to get rid of some programs, can't offer as many things. Obviously we're at the time of this recording, not even halfway through the year. And I was looking at, comparing the numbers between last year and this year. And I was like, wait a second, like, this isn't actually that much different. Our total revenue is higher at this stage of this year than it was last year. And our profit margin is higher. And yes, I'm going to be off for at least 2 months, not doing anything. But like, who's to say that the rest of the year won't be even bigger than last year's like second half of the year? So it is this weird thing where it's like what I've been experiencing, spending the last 7, 8+ months preparing. I mean, really the last year and a half mentally, but then like literally preparing the business for maternity leave. It's like all the stuff I've done to get to a place where I can literally disappear from the business for 8 weeks and nothing's going to break. I was like, that's actually going to make our business run better down the road anyway. And it's going to increase the revenue potential. And having less offers is actually not affecting our revenue because we just sell more of the offers that we have. And we minimize how much, as well as I do, how much work goes into the messaging and the marketing and the selling process. And if we just condense that into a couple of really good offers, or even one good offer, if you want to, it's like you could actually make more money doing less. And it's totally possible that it can be both. So I just wanted to say that because I think it's that combination of having that mindset of it's okay if this doesn't grow or if it shrinks. And also it's totally possible that this could grow from these decisions. And it doesn't have this like linear, I need more offers and more of my time in order to make more money.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. I think you actually do have so much more possibility of making more and being more rested, setting yourself up. And that is what we have found. What I want people to do is I think the key was for me, was releasing the expectation around it and just being okay. Like if I work less and I don't make as much money as my friends without kids, I have to make peace with that. I have to accept it. And it will, I can't promise anything, but just because you are less busy, it will free you up for so much more. And the systems and the processes that you're creating are making your business more scalable. So when you come back, hopefully, ideally, you're not going to feel the pressure to add a million more things.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think kind of going back to what you were saying before about the big reason you shut the food business down, it's so tempting to just be like, oh, they're making this much. Like I'm making $500,000 and they're making $1 million, or I'm making $1 million and they're making $3 million. And so you're always comparing up to that. But it's like in my mind, and I think, our coach James really hammers this home for us too a lot. It's like, just because you're making more money doesn't actually mean your life is going to be better. So in a lot of cases, there's times where I'm like, wow, I'm actually really glad that I have such a chill schedule. And not to say that I can't do both, because again, I think there's a lot of opportunity to make more without having to work more. But there are some times where it's like, yeah, I could probably do more and I could spend more time working and I could maybe make more from doing that. But is that actually going to make my life better when in fact, the main reason I even want the kind of business that I'm building is because I want to have that flexibility of my time to be able to spend it how I want. So it's like just making more money doesn't actually equal success if it's causing other areas of your life to suffer, like your mental health, your energy, your time that you're spending with your family, the things. And again, you don't have to value that. That's totally cool. But if you do value it, and you're sacrificing it to make more money, it's like, is that actually success? And I would argue it's not.
Yeah, I would say for what? Everything we do. And as the CEO, I still it's really easy for me to want to complicate our business. So having that person in your business to say no to you, I think is really important because I do get that itch to, especially since my youngest is 4 now. So we're out of those baby years and she's in school from 9 to 2. So we're out of the baby years and every, once a month, probably I'll be like, let's do this new thing. And Dan's like, no, let's not. Everything is working. You don't want to work more. Let's not do that. And I'm usually like, okay, you're right. Now is not the time. Now is not the time. So yes, it's every single thing. It's like, for what? Why? Mm-hmm. Why are we doing this? And does this align with my values and my priorities?
Mm-hmm. So I think something I would love to ask you about is getting to this place of being able to have balance, because I don't want to call it fortunate necessarily, because there's been a lot of planning and prep and intentionality about it. But just looking at how I've been able to create the space for pregnancy, for maternity leave, that kind of thing, none of that was by accident, right? Like it wasn't just like, oh, I just happened to make enough money and now I don't have to work for 2 months. Like that's literally not what it was. It had very little to do with the amount of money we made. It was more about the intentionality of creating the team structures and everything that would allow me to not work and the business doesn't just like collapse. But I'm trying to think back, like if I had gotten pregnant like 3 years ago, I'm trying to think if would I've done anything differently. I probably would have done similar things, but it would have been a different business. And I do think I had the fortune of having our current business take off very quickly from the foundation I'd been building for, 8 years. That allowed me to get the systems and processes in place and to pay the people I needed to pay, that kind of thing. So I want to kind of back up a little bit and imagine that someone's either about to become a mom or is a mom and is kind of just getting started and doesn't necessarily have the financial resources to have this whole team that they're is supporting their business, or doesn't necessarily have a scalable offer that's already selling well. Like what kind of advice do you have for them if they want to get to a place where they can work 15, 20 hours a week and make good money and the business is still doing well? And it's not like, oh, if I should have done it before I got pregnant and now it's not possible. Does that question make sense?
Yeah, it so makes sense. And I don't know if my answer is going to be unconventional or not, but my first piece of advice, and I'm ruthless about this. I love these conversations, getting your partner on board, whoever your partner is, and over communicating your intent behind your business and what you need to create the space for that. So me and my husband have been very by society's terms, pretty unconventional from day one as parents. He shares every load with me. I'm never going to be the person that tells you my husband doesn't understand. My husband doesn't get why I need help. No, because from before day one, we were partners in every single thing that we did as parents. And it started from over communication. I said to him from day one, this is what I need. This is what I need your help with. This is what I need your help with our child. It actually was easier with parenting as opposed to our business. I had to work on figuring that aspect out of it. But over communicate with your partner. Your partner is not a mind reader. They have no idea what you're going through and what you need. And it's up to you to advocate for yourself as a mother, as a partner, and as a business owner. So a lot of I got resentful too. So I'm not saying we never fought. Of course we did. I'm not saying we never had problems. Of course we did. We have hard conversations all the time, but I was willing to have those conversations and advocate for myself and my needs. Mm-hmm. So that's the first step, is get your partner on board and be realistic with what you feel you need. Because if you don't, you're always going to be trying to explain yourself, and you're always going to just be trying to get your husband on board or your partner on board. You're always going to be feeling like you're not supported and seen. But if they don't know how to see you and support you, it's really hard to match up like that. So as your mom, you're going to be figuring this out, because no mom goes into this and is like, oh, I know everything I need. No, of course not. But be willing to have those conversations even every single day. Hey, mm-hmm. I need to shower. Like for me, my bare minimums as a mom from day one, and I feel like you might be like me when it comes to this, because I know you and I are super like I will get dressed every day. That doesn't mean I'm dressing and like putting makeup on, but I'm changing out of the clothes I slept in every single day. I am showering every single day. Those are my bare minimums to exist as a human that was taking care of myself. So I had to get my husband on board for those things. Mm-hmm. Kind of a tangent. As far as the business goes, this is not a period or time in your life to do extras. It's you figure out the 1 to 3 things that are going to make you money in your business and you do them over and over again every single day. So we can procrastinate a lot when you're a little nervous, when you're getting started. So for me, every kid I had, again, was like, oh, no more time to procrastinate. I either have to sell or not sell. So figure out the 1 to 3 things. I call them impact tasks. So overall, if you're just getting started, you got to get your partner on board personally and in your business. And 2, figure out what makes you money. What are the 1 to 3 things that make you money, and just do them. You don't need fancy websites. You don't need to be on social media every day. You don't need to do all those acts. You don't need the best branding in the world. You just need to figure out who are you going to help and how do you talk to those people and do those things every single day. It could take, like I tell my moms in my group, 10 hours. If you have 10 hours and you're like really working for those 10 hours, you have more than enough time to have a 6-figure business.
Yeah. It's funny. I feel like people are always at least the people I work with and the ones that are a little newer to business are always talking about how, oh my gosh, there's so many things to do. I have so much on my to-do list and all of that. And I'm always like, probably half of what's on that to-do list is stuff that actually doesn't even need to get done. And then another 30% is stuff that, yeah, you probably want to do that at some point, but isn't urgent right now. And you could probably wait, a few months before you really try to tackle that. And so when it comes to those 1 to 3 tasks, could you give some examples of what that could look like, knowing that everybody's business is different?
Yeah. So if you are a registered dietitian and you're starting out in your own business, talking to the people, and you really are just starting, you figure out who your ideal person is in the community you're in. That is the fastest way to grow. If you look down at your own 2 feet and you say, okay, who do I know and what resources do I have in my community? Everyone knows someone who's looking for some type of health or nutrition. And I know Laura has tons of resources on this, but the more specific you get to the problem you solve, the easier it's going to be to find your people and to grow your business. So it's the bootstrapping thing. If you only have a few hours, that's okay, well, where can you do a workshop in person? Maybe no one's going to come the first 3 times, but then they will. If you have a personal Instagram, go live on Instagram, figure out just how can you get in front of your people live once a week, I would say, if you're really starting out, and make an offer. That's it. It's literally that simple. Go live either in person or online in some capacity. Go live on your personal Facebook profile and figure out one thing to sell. One thing to sell. That's the easiest. If you just did that once a week, if I had done that once a week in my first year, I would probably I would have made a lot more money.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny because in our MBA program, I don't always know what people expect it to be about, but we spend usually about the first good half of the program helping people create their offer, which there's multiple steps involved to creating the offer. I'm glad you mentioned the specificity about the niching thing, because I had seen somebody recently say, you shouldn't pick your niche until you've already worked with at least, 10 to 15 clients. And I was thinking to myself, I'm like, but how do you get those clients if you don't even know who you're talking to? Where do those people come from? Right. And so, and not to say that you can't change your niche, because I've changed my niche many a time when I realized this wasn't what I wanted to do, but it's to just say, go get a client. It's where, how, who am I, what am I talking about? Where am I talking to these people? So, so knowing who your audience is and then creating a good offer for them, I think is a step that a lot of people skip or don't understand how to do effectively. And so of course it's going to feel like I have to do all these things. I have to have Instagram. I have to have a website. I have to have blah, blah, blah. It's no, all you really need is a really good offer and a way to talk about it and a way to sell it, basically. And so I totally agree with that. And I don't think enough business owners do the work to create those essentials in a really strong way, because when the essentials are working really well, all of those other things are just kind of enhancements, right? Yeah, of course, running Facebook ads will probably get you in front of more people, but that's not the first thing you have to do, right? Or having, reels that you put out every single day will get you in front of more people, but that's not the first thing you have to do. If you don't have a good offer, it's like, it doesn't really matter if you're growing an audience because it's not going to create a successful business. So I'm glad you mentioned that, because I think between having a good offer and having really good messaging around that offer, that's what people should be spending their time on, the limited time that they have. And sadly, I just don't think a lot of business owners really understand that is where they should be spending their time, rather than all of the visuals and, the things that look like a successful business.
I'm laughing because Dan and I have this conversation all the time. Inside our Elevate program, we talk about offers all day long. They're already our clients. They're already paying us. They're already invested. So there's trust there. They're going to listen to us. But we went through a period of time where when we were getting on sales calls, we were talking to people about their offer, and literally it was so funny because every single person was like, yeah, I want to work on that later. And Dan and I were like, no, if you have a bad offer, literally you cannot do anything if you have a bad offer. Mm-hmm. No one wants to, so now we have a running joke, you can't talk about offers until they've paid us, because they're not going to do anything with it. And it is one of those things where it's like, if your offer is bad, it's going to be so much harder to grow. You could have all the persuasion and learn all of the great, language and sales tactics. But if your offer is bad, you're going to have a harder time. But it's so boring. It's so boring that really no one wants to talk about it. But as consumers, think about it all the time when you're targeted on Instagram or Facebook. What are those things that you're like, I know I do it. You see it and you buy it. You go from completely cold to buying something because the offer is good. And I think today, especially where we're at in 2022, there is so much noise. I get so many emails every single day that if you don't have a good offer and you don't know how to speak clearly to me, I'm not going to buy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's funny because I feel like I've been having this meta experience where I'm watching myself as a consumer over the last 6 to 12 months, because there's all this stuff that I'm buying that I would have never cared about before, right? It's oh, that company makes washable diapers. Let me look into that. Literally, I would have never cared about that. That could have come. And of course, the algorithms know, oh, she bought something baby related. Let's show her all the baby stuff. So now it's all I get is baby related ads on Facebook and Instagram and stuff. But I'll watch myself thinking what is making me want this? Right? Because it's not something I wanted before. I don't just want something randomly. I was actually talking to a client today about her messaging around her offer, because she was focusing so much on how she solves the problem rather than the problem, and the actual transformation wasn't really part of the messaging she was putting forth. And I was like, okay, so let me give you an example. This morning, I went to go get acupuncture for helping my baby flip. And it was kind of an uncomfortable, it was painful. There was some physical pain. I've done acupuncture before, but this was that actually kind of hurt. And I had to lay there kind of uncomfortable for 20, 30 minutes trying to breathe and that kind of thing. And it's if somebody had tried to sell me that session and was I'm going to put needles in your toes and you're going to do this. And I would be well, I don't want that. But as soon as it was acupuncture has this success rate with flipping babies, and I was all right, where do I get?
What do I have to do?
Who's got the appointment available for me? So it was I wasn't buying acupuncture, right? I could care less about that experience was not pleasant. If I could have skipped that, would have been happy to skip it, right? I had other things I wanted to do this morning. And so it was the belief that process is going to solve a problem that I have and get the transformation that I want. That was what sold me. And I think way too many people are focusing so much on this is what you get when you show up to work with me. And they're I have this great offer. Look how many sessions they get. I'm so available and it's like not expensive, all this stuff. And it's like, yeah, but nobody actually wants any of that. They want what it's going to give them. And I find this, especially in my health clientele, that it's like just getting really clear about the problem and the actual promise of the solution for whatever reason. I don't know if it's like a belief issue or an education issue or what, but it's like this resistance to it. And I totally agree with you that, whether somebody's starting from scratch or even I feel like at our level, we are always going back and looking at how do we make this offer better? And it's not like adding more stuff to it. It's how do we actually make this something that people want because we know how great it is and we want more people in it because we know once they're in, it's going to serve them really well. So kind of a tangent, but it's one of these things where I'm sure you feel the same way, like what you're talking about with talking to potential clients about their offers. There's areas of your business that definitely need to be running well, and they don't take hours and hours and hours to do every week. Like once you nail your offer and it's nailed, it's like, all right, let's just get this baby in front of as many people as we can, right? And so I think it can really simplify things a lot.
Yeah, it's kind of like what I always say, I'm very visual. So what I see is like the Instagram photo of like what you think it takes and what it actually takes. And it's like what you think it takes is the fancy sales page, like the super long checkout, the like all of the graphics. And it's like what it actually takes, an offer that people want. Like that's literally what it takes. And if you just took your time to figure out what people want and you learned how to speak about it in their language, like saying the things that they are saying, you literally could work like 3 hours a week on selling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I think this is really important for, like I said, any stage of business, because even as you grow, I think there's always opportunity to make it better. But ultimately, the amount of time you're spending in your business should, and it looks like in both of our opinions, be get your offer really clear and make it something that people want, and then get it in front of as many people that would potentially want that offer as possible. And I know it sounds like oversimplified, but even as we get into our more advanced strategies in the mastermind and everything, it's like, no, this is like literally exactly what we're still learning. Everyone's just trying to make their offers better and trying to make their messaging better. It's not like anything way beyond those two big core areas.
Yeah. 100%. And I think, it kind of makes me and Laura's job easy and difficult at the same time, because there's so many people that are just like selling you the latest thing that's like super exciting. And when it's like so foundational, you're just like, it's your offer, it's your offer, it's your offer, it's your offer. It's very interesting, but it is like, if you're sitting here and you're listening and you're not making the money that you want to be making, and you're strapped for time and you're stressed out and you're wondering like, how can you do this without sacrificing your time with your family? It is like, go back to simple. And what I just do with my clients is like, literally, let's make a line item list of every single thing you're doing. And all you have to do is like, check the things that are making you money. You're going to find 90% are not making you money. Mm-hmm. So just do that and be willing to let go of those things. Like I get it. It's very emotional, because it was really hard for me to give up that business, but it put everything next to like, I have like the school photo of my youngest here, like put your kids next to that list. It's them or this. Is it making you money, or do you want to spend time with your kids? Like when you put it up against those two things, and that will help you decide what to let go of.
Mm-hmm. I love that advice. We will have baby photos to put next to next to my list of things that I'm doing. So in the interest of time, 'cause I know you have to go do the mom stuff very soon. Is there any last words of wisdom that you would have for a woman who is running a business, has kids, wants to do both well, wants to make money, right? Like, and the amount of money is, subjective, right? You might be like, I just want to make 6 figures. Awesome. I want to make 7 figures. Great. Like there's a lot of different opportunities for people. But if somebody's like, I want to do both well, and I want to feel good about the choices I'm making. So I think that ultimately, like, that's what people want, right? Like they want to feel like they're doing both the way that they want to do it. And they're not like, I have to choose, or I'm like, when I'm with my kids, I'm stressed about my business. And when I'm doing my business, I'm stressed about my kids. Anything that you would say to like help them get closer to that balance of I'm doing the best job I can in both and I'm happy with what I'm doing, even if it doesn't look like what other people's lives
Oh my
like.
God. I mean, I'll try and wrap this up because I have to go to pick up and get 2 out of 3 of my kids. And the other one that you can't see is standing right next to me. I would say the first thing is like, give yourself grace. Like you are on a different path and a different trajectory than most of the people living and walking this earth. So you're choosing a different path. Give yourself grace to say, I am doing life differently. And it's hard and it's beautiful and it's wonderful. And wherever I am right now is okay. And then the second thing is like, give yourself permission to actually ask for whatever you desire, whatever you want, whatever abundance, whatever you want your life to look like. Give yourself permission to actually want that and figure out how to make that happen. And whatever guilt, whatever wrong thing comes up in your mind around those desires, figure out how to release them. And the third thing is get a support system. We cannot do this on our own. You can, but why would you? Find a safe space and figure out the group of women that you can speak to that get it.
Mm-hmm. I love it. So awesome. Well, like I said, I know that you have some mom duties to get to, and I know our listeners are going to want to connect more with you. So what would be the best way for them to take another step to learn more from you about how to be an awesome mom CEO?
Yeah, I would just say, come connect with me on Instagram, or Laura, I'm sure we'll include the link to my podcast where I talk a lot about these issues. And I also have a video that really gives you my steps to being a 7-figure mom CEO. So I would love to share that.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll put those in the notes for this episode. And I know Nicole's very responsive on Instagram. So if you need to just talk to her directly about what your next steps could be, she'll be there. So anyway, thank you so much, Nicole. It was so great chatting with you. I'm sure we could have done another hour, but it's time for the pickup line. So I really appreciate your time on our show today.
Yeah, thank you so much. This was so fun.
Yeah. And thanks for all of you hanging out with us. We'll see you here next week on the Fed and Fearless podcast. Take care, everybody. Hey there, Laura here again. If you're anything like the hundreds of health and nutrition entrepreneurs that I've worked with over the past few years, you want to create an efficient, structured, and organized online health office that saves you time, maximizes your impact and your income, and provides a great experience for your clients. But maybe you've been told falsely that all you need is free tools like Google Calendar and Google Drive to make that happen. Or maybe you know that you need to use a client management software like Practice Better, but you feel overwhelmed trying to figure out how to set it up in a way that actually saves you time rather than wasting it. Either way, the fact is you need a well-oiled client management system, one that works for you like a team member if you want to have a successful online health and nutrition business. And in my brand new free training, I'm going to teach you the 6 essential steps to set up Practice Better for a more profitable and efficient virtual health and wellness business. I'll give you the step-by-step system for setting up your client management software that will get you out of the day-to-day admin work and back into the role of the high-level health and nutrition professional where you belong. I'll also show you how my client Jackie used these exact principles to help her make over $200,000 in revenue in her first full year of business, while also preparing to become a first-time mom. And by the end of this 60-minute training, you'll finally know the best way to create an efficient, structured, and organized online health office that saves you time, maximizes your impact and income, and provides an amazing front-end experience for your clients and customers. To get access to this exclusive brand new training, go to practicebettertraining.com and select the training day and time you'd like to attend. And don't worry if you can't make any of the times listed. We'll be sending the replay to all registrants, so just be sure to look for an email from hello@lauraschoenfeldrd.com to get your personal link to join the training. Having a well-organized client management system is a non-negotiable when it comes to building a financially successful online health business that doesn't burn you out. And I can't wait to show you the exact steps to doing so in the fastest and most efficient way possible. Go to practicebettertraining.com to sign up now, and I look forward to seeing you on the training.